go. Recording in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. What it is and what's going on? Welcome to another episode of the Sports Talk Eli podcast. Great to have you guys with me for another edition of Sports Talk Eli. It's been a long time. I'm recording this in the middle of December 21st. It's a couple of days away from Christmas. It's cold outside. Just feeling good. We have a lot to talk about on today's show. We're going to talk Stephen Curry. We're going to talk the Clippers. We're going to talk the Warriors. We're going to talk a bunch of news going on in the NBA world. So, if you're watching this on YouTube or you're streaming this on the many podcast apps that I plan on throwing this on, thank you very much. Let's start off today's show with this. There's been an interesting debate going around in basketball circles regarding Stephen Curry. And it was brought up on the previous edition of NBA on TNT's Inside the NBA, where Shaquille O'Neal mentioned that why don't we break up Steph Curry in the GOAT conversation? Now, Kenny the Jet Smith was like, hey, I don't really see it. I don't really look at him as a GOAT. But it made me think Stephen Curry definitely deserves to be mentioned in that GOAT conversation. I'm not sure if he's a guy who we can put in that top 5, that rare air of guys that belong in that space, like a LeBron James, like a Michael Jordan. Maybe you put Kareem in that space, and then you get 2 other guys. Some people would say Magic and Larry. Some people would try to throw Kobe in that list. The fact of the matter is, Stephen Curry definitely deserves to be somewhere within that 5 to 10 range. And he's done a lot. He's definitely done a lot throughout his career to warrant that he deserves to be a top 10 NBA player of all time. I think maybe if he wins about 2 or 3 more rings, which he definitely could do. I mean, he's only 35. He's clearly not he's clearly has shown no signs of slowing down. His game is a game that can age with time, because he doesn't even though his game consists of him running over screens and shooting threes, and when we talk about Stephen Curry, we talk about his gravity and how his gravity impacts his play on the court. Still, he could just be a floor spacer who could probably play defense at an older age. So he definitely could still play for a long time at a high level. But when I look at Stephen Curry's resume, he's a 4-time NBA champion, an NBA Finals MVP, a 2-time MVP. One of them was unanimous. I think he led the league in scoring and steals in that same season. He's number 1 all time in 3-point shooting. He's a 2-time scoring champ. Stephen Curry's resume definitely puts him in that conversation of all-time greats. But I personally think he's definitely in that GOAT conversation, but he might need to do just a little bit more to inch his name in that top 5 range. But so far, Curry has done a lot. And you also have to think about his impact he has on basketball in general. Golden State Warriors, Stephen Curry and the Golden State Warriors is the reason why the NBA now is more of a 3-point shooting league as opposed to being a back-to-the-basket post-up big man league. It's the reason why kids in high school are probably jacking up more threes than they're working on their handles or anything else in their game, because they want to be like Steph. And that's also something we have to consider when we talk about one of the GOATs. Not just the impact on the court, but the impact off the court. And Steph has had that impact. Now, the Warriors, to me, I know they just recently won against the Boston Celtics, but they've been struggling a lot this season. They don't look like that same juggernaut from previous years that when we used to watch the NBA, when we used to watch basketball, we see that it's the Warriors who are just dominating. And could be because of Steph, Clay are getting older. The team they have just isn't the same team. There's no Iguodala. There's no guys coming off the bench like Sean Livingston. Is a different core of guys. I like guys like Jonathan Kuminga. I like Wiggins, who they just recently benched, who isn't playing at that same elite level that he was playing during the championship years. And not to mention, the Warriors over the last couple of years kind of banked on younger players, guys like Jonathan Kuminga and Moses Moody, Jordan Poole, James Wiseman, who's the guy they took number 2 overall back in the, I believe it's the 2021 draft. I know I'm gonna correct myself if it wasn't, where I thought he could be the guy who can carry the dynasty on, because when I saw him play, I saw a lot of really good elements, and now he's in Detroit on one of the worst teams in the league, barely getting minutes, and I really liked Kuminga. I really liked Wiseman coming into the draft, and I thought he was going to be really good. I guess I was just wrong. So it's really interesting to see where the Warriors are now, outside of the play-in, looking to get into the play-in, not the playoffs, the play-in. Hopefully Steve Curry and the rest of those guys can figure it out. And also should talk about the Draymond situation. You shouldn't be punching players. That's just it. You shouldn't be putting your hands on players. I get it's basketball, it's a physical game, but come on, bro. Like, choking and the punching, it has to stop. And I'm glad the league has suspended him indefinitely. Told him, hey, get some help, brother. Get some help. So, other interesting news and notes. The Celtics lost to the Warriors last night. The Celtics, to me, are a team that I'm more interested in seeing what they do in the playoffs. I know there's news like maybe they'll try to make a move at the trade deadline. I know they have the Porzingis injury. If can he stay healthy? I need to see Tatum. I need to see Brown do it in the playoffs, win a championship, because they're a team that, like, who's always right there but can never get the job done. And last night was another implication of that. Like, you basically have this huge lead against the Golden State Warriors, but you don't get the job done. And that's my problem with the Boston Celtics. And that's why I think Milwaukee could beat them in the playoffs in a 7-game series. But we'll see about that. That's down the line. Other news and notes going on around this association. Ja Morant came back. Ja Morant came back against the New Orleans Pelicans. I believe the game was on Tuesday. Great game. Really, really great game. Great to see Ja Morant back. He's without a doubt one of the best players in the NBA. The league is always better when you have all your stars out, and Ja's a star. Ja's a star. Hopefully his head is back. His head is on correctly. Hopefully he can help the Grizzlies get out of this hole they kind of dug themselves in. The Grizzlies, as of right now, are 8-19. Yeah, the playoff starts today. They wouldn't be in that mix. I think, based on having Ja Morant back, who's a bona fide superstar, that they can sneak back into that playoffs category, because he's just that good, and they're a better team with Ja on the court. Now, the game was electric. Ja Morant hit a game winner to seal the win for the New Orleans Pelicans, and still the win for the Memphis Grizzlies, the wrong team. And like I said, I just love watching them play. The NBA is better when you have all your superstars, and Ja is a superstar. He is indeed a superstar. The Pelicans, a team that I thought coming into the season with a healthy Zion can definitely shake some things up in the Western Conference. I know there's been some things said in past weeks about Zion and Zion's weight, and I think he's a humble kid. I think he's gonna figure it out. I like Zion a lot. I like New Orleans a lot. I know they're a team that's dealt with injuries, not having Jose Alvarado, not having Trey Murphy, and I know they've had guys step up. I'm interested to see how they unfold, if they make a move at the trade deadline to make themselves better, to get them in that upper mix in the Western Conference. I know a lot of teams are probably going to make a move. I'm probably going to make the next segment where teams are going to make a move. And I think that was a great segue for the break. So, when we get back, we're going to discuss teams that need to make a move. See, y'all like what I did there? Y'all like what I did there? Okay, I'm going to cut that out. Beep. Recording in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay, and we're back. So, I wanted to talk about trade stuff, but I also want to talk about the Los Angeles Clippers. The Los Angeles Clippers have been playing some really, really good basketball as of late. Now, it started off kind of slow. It was looking real bleak when they traded for James Harden. They were struggling to get wins, but then something just clicked for this team. You've had Westbrook decided to come up to the bench rather than starting with James Harden in the backcourt, and that's helped the team tremendously. Then you have your two best players, Paul George and Kawhi Leonard, finally playing like all NBA, playing like the all NBA caliber players that we know they can play like. I don't think that this team is suited for the regular season. I think these guys are more, it's kind of team that can get it done in the playoffs because of you look at the fact that they have Paul George and Kawhi and Westbrook and Harden, who all have experience playing deep in the playoffs. I know we can say what we can say what we want about Harden and his experience, his time choking in the playoffs, but when he's not the number one option, he's like the number 4 or number 3 guy. And same thing with playoff P. He's choked in the playoffs too. The only person who's got it done is Kawhi Leonard, but also have to remember, PG has taken the team to the conference finals. The same thing for Harden. Westbrook is a guy who showed up for big games in the playoffs in the past. So I personally think that this Clipper team better built for the playoffs, even though I don't think they will go far. But there's still interesting to see them finally gelling and kind of figuring it out as the season's going on. All right, so I wanted to talk to you guys about teams that I think need to make a move as we move forward to the NBA trade deadline. There are two teams in particular, the Toronto Raptors and the Chicago Bulls. Now, the Bulls have been playing better as of late. The Chicago Bulls have been playing better basketball. But, there's a big but. I don't think it's sustainable. I think the Bulls need to blow it up. I think both Zach LaVine and DeMar DeRozan can both be really good contributors to a playoff team. I can see a guy like DeMar potentially going to a team like the Lakers and helping them out. The Lakers are a team who's been struggling as of late, and I think he can give them a boost. I can see a guy like Zach LaVine going to a Philly and potentially being that third piece that can help them compete with a Boston and a Milwaukee and a Miami in the playoffs. I don't think it's sustainable. I think the Bulls should just rebuild. You build around Kobe White, who's been playing tremendous as of late. You rebuild around Patrick Williams, who I really like, who just needs a little bit. He needs the ball a lot more, I think. I think Patrick Williams has high potential. I think some people have compared him to Kawhi. I don't quite see Kawhi, but I think he can be a really good player. And I think he will shine more if he's more in that number 2 option on a rebuilding team. I think if you're the Bulls, you should try to get back as much draft capital as you can, because I don't think this team can sneak into the play-in, honestly. I think they're going to try to sneak into the play-in. They're going to try to be competitive. They're going to say, hey, we're playing better basketball as of late. That number 10 spot is ours. But I don't think the Bulls should be gearing up for that number 10 spot. The Toronto Raptors are in that same pool. You've seen Scotty has played really good basketball, and he should be your building block for the future. I think trading guys like OG Anunoby, like your boy Pascal, who are two players who, again, can really thrive on playoff teams, on playoff settings, could be your maybe number 2 and number 3 option on a championship team. Pascal was already a number 2 option on a championship team. I think if I'm the Toronto Raptors, I would try to build around Scotty, who's, like I said, playing really great this season, and see what I can get back for OG and for Pascal Siakam. Another team that might be looking to trade, and it pains me to say this because this is like one of my favorite teams in the association, it's the Cleveland Cavaliers. That I personally think they're going to, at some point, move off of Donovan Mitchell. The Cavs have failed. They're not playing as good as they were playing last season. They're dealing with a lot of injuries this year. I know Evan Mobley was out. He's out currently. Darius Garland right now is dealing with an injury. I know Donovan Mitchell has been dealing with an injury. I personally think this Cavs team not quite hit the rebuild, but quite hit a retool. And I think moving on from Donovan Mitchell, allowing Darius Garland to be the number one, the offensive threat, along with potentially moving on Jared Allen and starting Evan Mobley at the center position, where he's probably better at, and he's shown statistically that he's shown that he's better at.